Overwatch 2 retail patch notes for October 10th, 2023, which is tomorrow at the start of Season 7. This game went to go live on October 10th, Halloween Terror 2023. Get ready for the spookiest event of the year as Overwatch 2 transforms into a haunted battleground. Halloween Terror is back with your favorite game modes, Junkenstein's Revenge, Wrath of the Bride, Trials of Sanctuary, and a brand new Blizzard crossover game mode. Okay, so Trials of Sanctuary is the new crossover game mode. I'm gonna see if I can get the squad tomorrow to get, if it's on, like if it's I'm assuming this is gonna come out right when the patch hits, so I'm gonna try to get the squad. I'm gonna try to get the bird, I'm gonna try to get the Hmong, and I'm gonna try to get the Q and see if we can get run it back from last year's Halloween event like we did. New map Samoa. I haven't played it, but I saw it from the Overwatch League thing. Looks really fucking cool. I actually can't wait to play it. Hero rework of Sombra. If you haven't already seen that, I got this video over here that went out a little while ago. God damn, that thing is chugging! Anyways, so if you want to see more about Sombra, head over there. All right. Some actually kind of low-key major changes being made to Overwatch this season. It is not for competitive. It's only for quick play and arcade. But heroes who die within 5 seconds of each other will respawn together, resulting in some players having either a slightly longer or shorter queue than 10 seconds. I saw that, like I got this explained to me. It's actually super interesting. I'll try to explain it to you better in a sec. Actually, let me read all this first, and then I'll try to explain if it's not clear. Heroes who die more than 5 seconds from another player eliminated will still respawn in 10 seconds on their own. These changes do not apply to competitive modes. So developer comments. We think that team fights are some of the most enjoyable moments in our game, but we've been all in matches where team cohesion or lack thereof makes these moments a rarity. These matches often turn into stomps for the team that can't group up. That is very true. These matches are okay, turn into stomps for a priority for us. Okay, as such, this season we're now modifying how heroes respawn for quick play. Heroes that die within 5 seconds of each other will be respawned in a wave together. Yeah, so it's gonna be waves of respawns, basically. This means that respawn times will sometimes change in order for heroes to respawn together. If a hero dies further apart than 5 seconds from another death on their team, they'll still respawn in 10 seconds as they would in the past. We'll be listening closely to feedback on this new system, and depending on the response and making any changes, we will consider adding these components to competitive play in a later season. So if you don't understand this, basically, there's a big problem in Overwatch, and this is through all ranks. As you climb higher, it becomes less and less, because people start to understand, but trickling. Basically, trickling is like, you know, like water drops, like bloop, 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 like someone's just feeding in every fight, right? One guy walks in on their own every time. They're like, well, I was caught out. I might as well just die, right? But then the next guy does it. And then the next guy does it. And then the next guy does it. And then the next guy does it, right? They're trying to stop that. And so by doing that, basically, if the first guy walks in and dies, if it's within 5 seconds, if a second person walks up and dies, the second person who died, instead of getting a 10-second timer, would instead get a 5-second or a 6-second timer and respawn with the first guy. This way they can come back together and be more grouped up. Same thing will happen too if, say, multiple people die, right? So if, let's say, 2 people die right off the bat, and then 4 seconds later someone else dies, and then 4 seconds later someone else dies, I don't know if that first group will end up getting this third guy, or the third guy will go in the second group, and then him and the fourth guy will go together, right? So it'll either be 2 and 2 or 3 and 1. But regardless, though, it would make it so everybody groups up and respawns together, right? To be specific, the first person's time will increase to average out. Yes. So if you are the feeder, if you're the guy who dies first every fight, you spend longer in the spawn waiting to respawn because it has to average it out. But here's the thing. This is a major change to the way Overwatch is played. I'm open to it. I'm very open to it. However, though, you got to be. I'm not gonna just be like, yeah, that's the best change ever. I want to see how it works, because there's certain things in competitive where preying on spawns or preying on people's staggers is a legitimate strategy, right? So if there's someone on the enemy team who is hard fucking feeding, killing them first or killing them last or like catching them on the way back again is a big strat. Like think about how many times you've lost a team fight and you're respawning and the first guy who died is back out there almost and then they died again. Doesn't apply to comp. Listen, open your ears. I'm just saying that I'm open to change in Overwatch, but we gotta be careful. Yes, it's in quick play to test it, but it says right here, depending on the response, I will consider it for a competitive. Open your ears. This could end up being an amazing change for the game. It would probably severely affect high rank play, like the way you play about the game, because it's already happened with like, for example, the Gibraltar change, where like you can teleport from second spawn, right? From first spawn to second spawn on defense. And the same thing on attack, right? So you don't have to walk the 10 miles. But most people agreed that was actually a good change. Yes, it was a competitive hindrance, or it removed an ability, you know, thank God I'm the only one in the office right now. It did remove, you know, I swear Flats isn't always like this. Please don't leave. They're here all the time. They know what this stream is all about. The point is, though, it did change the way the game was played, but in a positive way. So, I know this isn't something that's probably going to get covered that much. Most people just scroll straight down and go straight to the actual patch notes, like the number changes. But this could end up being something that really changes the way most players play Overwatch. And I love that they're thinking about stuff like this. Because, yo, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I don't want to flame too hard, but the old Overwatch team would never have done something like this. They never would have made core gameplay changes like this. Like, core gameplay of Overwatch never changed for like 5 years. So the fact that they've kind of just like understood and been like, yeah, maybe the game nowadays isn't totally the same and we need to bring it up to like other game standard, and like, you know, the game has flaws. And like, don't get me wrong, Overwatch is not a perfect game and it has legitimate flaws. But I love that they're trying to solve issues like this, because sitting on your high horse and basically telling people constantly like, well, you just got to group up, isn't going to do anything, right? Because like, real talk, sometimes it is actually the right play to walk up and try to look for a pick on like after the fight's over. It is actually the right play. But you know, it is what it is. Okay. Here's another massive change. You ready for this? Unranked lever penalties. The minus 75 XP penalty has been removed. And replacing it, the penalty thresholds have not changed, but the mechanics have also never been completely explained. The last 20 games played for a player participated in are recorded. Leaving 4 of these 20 games activates the first penalty threshold. Leaving 6 of those 20 games activates the second penalty threshold. So the way the Overwatch unranked lever penalty works is if you leave 4 out of 20 games, the first one pops up. If you leave 6 out of 20 games, the second one pops up. Now, what happens with those when they pop up? We'll get there. Queuing for more game modes is now suspended when a player leaves a match inside of a penalty threshold. Queuing for most game modes is now suspended when a player leaves a match inside of a penalty threshold. I don't know if it doesn't say specifically, but I'm assuming you could still do like hero mastery, but it sounds like you can't do unranked or comp. Maybe you can do arcade. Craig, are you here? Are we able to get a confirmation on that? Only training or custom games. You can't even do the hero mastery? So this is actually this is so controversial, because I'm personally in the camp of it's supposed to be for fun, right? Like if it's a bad quick play game, then just leave. But on the other side, there's also constantly people leaving quick play games. Like they win one fight and then they just leave, right? So that's also frustrating. I'm a little bit nervous that people are going to start taking quick play even more serious now. And God, I know Twitter is like the fucking cesspool of the internet at this point nowadays, somehow surpassing so many other places. But I've seen more people arguing about why people should try hard in quick play recently than I've ever seen in the history of Overwatch. And it blows my mind that like they say they're in like full confidence with their whole chest that like they should be counter swapping and they should be hard calming. And it's like, what the fuck? Just play comp. And it's like, I don't want to put my competitive points on the line just to play the game. It's like, so you're playing the fun game mode because you don't want to play competitively. Huh? That's not all, though. Players that reach the second penalty threshold will be suspended for 30 minutes. So if you leave 6 unranked games, maybe arcade, but I think it's just unranked. If it's comp, obviously you're going to get suspended for others. Wait. It includes all modes that have a matchmaking queue, including arcade and story missions. Wait. Oh, hang on. We have, hang on. Pause. We may have some differences on the play. The penalty comes from leaving quick play games, not from leaving other non-quick play modes. Okay. I'm just going to get a double confirmation then. Does that also... So we were asking earlier about the queuing for game modes when you're suspended. Is it still... Oh, but the... Oh, okay. The penalty comes from leaving quick play games, not from leaving other non-quick play modes. But the modes that get locked out are any modes that grant progression, like Craig mentioned. So, thank you guys. Thank you so much for both of you. Seriously. You know what? Hey, it is so next level to have actual people from the Overwatch team in real time being here and like clarifying our questions. I just want you guys to know, appreciate the living out of that. To Overwatch old Overwatch, to Overwatch past, that would have never happened. So I want you guys to truly know how much I appreciate that. This is some crazy changes though. 30-minute lockout if you leave 6 unranked games, 6 out of 20. Now, if you're leaving 6 out of 20 unranked games, that is kind of a lot. The queue suspension will reapply each time a player leaves a game when they are above the first penalty threshold, but not when they complete their games. Interesting. The queue suspension will reapply each time a player leaves a game when they are above the first penalty threshold, but not when they complete their games. So does this mean if I'm at 4 left games and I get suspension, and then I leave my 5th game, I get another suspension for 10 minutes? And then if I leave another game, then I get this 30-minute suspension? Is that what that means? Yes, exactly that. Whoa. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so 4 is the magic number. So if you leave 4 games, you're going to get a 10-minute. If you leave another game, so for 5, that's another 10-minute. And then 6 games, that's another 30 minutes. Whoa. Okay. But as you finish games, it does not reapply. Okay. I'm assuming the way that works is we have like a line of games, of 20 games. And every time you complete a game, old games disappear. So like, let's say you had a lever game here. And then on your 20th game, you finish, that leave game disappears, right? So it would like be pushed out of your record. Yep, it's a sliding window like you're describing. Wow, that is actually crazy. I love this change, but I'm a little nervous because like I feel like quick play should also be like a fun game mode, but 4 is a good amount of games you can leave. So you know what? Maybe it's not the worst thing. I kind of like it. I kind of like it actually. When players left too many games, we would apply a 75% penalty to their battle pass XP that is gained. We found this had very little impact on those who leave it deliberately and severely impacted those who don't have much time to play. But we want to earn the rewards in our season's battle pass. We're changing this to make it more difficult for players who leave games to be disruptive while not applying too much impact on those who don't intend to be ruining the experience for others. Wow. That's actually well thought out. I like that. Story missions. You can now spectate any story mission that your friends are playing if you own the campaign pack mission. Oh, you can watch your friends just absolutely suck at the campaign. That's hilarious. As a quick hint, we have another blog post coming out very soon that will be explaining the goals of this change. Wait, so we have content today? My God. Hero Mastery. Scoring update. Bonus score granted from time remaining in the gold bonus tier is now accurate to a 1/100th of a second. Previously, games completed in the top 500 leaderboards are not adjusted. I thought this got adjusted to like 1/10 or something like that at one point. The user interface has been updated to display the new time accuracy everywhere that we display time and score. The user interface has been updated to display this new time accuracy everywhere that we display time and score. Okay. Replays, Hero Mastery replays are now supported. That's good. Replays are saved for any completed course, resulting in a new scoring record. Nice. The user interface for Hero Mastery replays has been customized to display score, time, and other information. Nice. Okay. Player progression. Lowered show priority for time played and wins sub badges in the showcase. What's that? That must be when you're looking at hero stuff in the player progression. All heroes share the time played and win sub badges. This change is intended to highlight each hero's unique sub badges and better reflect individual playstyles. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good change because obviously people's time played and wins are going to be pretty high over time. Challenges. Reduce the number of wins required to unlock Sojourn, Junker Queen, and Kiriko through the hero challenges. Interesting. Ilaria is now unlockable through hero challenges. It's cool that they're making these easier. Actually, I think the event that starts with Season 7 allows it so you can actually buy them with credits anyways, so makes them more available. Cool. Hero updates, what most of you have probably been waiting for. Tank, Orisa, Fortify, damage reduction, decrease from 50 to 45. Doesn't seem like a big change. Low-key, that's a pretty big change. Developer comments, we are further readjusting Orisa's survivability, which was originally increased due to armor damage reduction stacking change we made several patches ago. This particular change is relatively light as we still want her to be an effective pick against teams that lean on crowd control. I think this will probably be enough. I think there's other things in the meta that are creeping up, but Orisa wasn't really what was holding the meta together, in my opinion. It was more of Bash and Torb, and Ladder at least, blowing up things like Ryan or Winston. Like, Winston would be a really good pick versus Orisa because you just ignore the Orisa. But they just go Bash and they just blow you up. So, like, you know, Orisa ended up being what most people played, or some people played Sigma too. Sigma was actually low-key okay. So, pretty good change. Overall, I think Orisa will still be okay. I just don't think she'll probably be the must-pick that she's been recently. Depending on the rest of these changes, at least. Ramatra. Nemesis form. Cooldown decrease from 8 to 7 seconds. Whoa. That's a kind of a nice little buff. I like that. This change lets Ramatra project his influence more frequently with Nemesis form, which translates into increased survivability and damage. The flexibility also makes it less punishing if he swaps back to Omnic form early to use the Void Barrier. So, there was like a 1 or 2 second window sometimes where if you used your shield and your left click, then right when the shield went down, popped your Nemesis form, like you could get almost maximum value out of Ramatra, but it was like 1 second off or so. So this, I think, closes that window where you're always going to have something up, whether it's the shield or punchy form. So, isn't Ramatra already stupid strong? You play in silver, don't you? Because Ramatra is not that good in high rank right now. Orisa dominates. And the reason for that is because Orisa, well, one, Orisa survived against Bastion more. But two, you have to think about it this way. Ramatra has good damage mitigation, but when you're damage mitigating, you're just sitting there like this. So the Bastion pops shift on you and starts shooting, you just sit there like this and just hope for fucking the best. Be like, ah! Orisa pops Fortify and shoots back. So, plus Orisa kind of rolls Ramatra. Like Orisa, like in original, like when Overwatch 2 came out, Orisa was really good against Ryan, but Ryan was really strong. So Ryan would win the duel more often. But then there was that one patch where we had where Orisa became really good all of a sudden. Orisa basically bullies the brawl tanks. So like your Ram, your Ryans. So, no. But I think Ram will probably be played more because of this. So, anyways. More changes we gotta get to. Wrecking Ball, quad cannons. Number of shots to reach max spread increase from 20 to 30. I mean, I guess it's an okay change. They need to buff Wrecking Ball somehow, but you can't buff him. You can't buff his CC or survivability or else you're going to break the whole game. So, good change. Zarya, projected barrier. Size decreased 15%, now matching back to the size of particle barrier. Yeah, it was a ridiculously dumb change. Health decreased from 225 to 200, matching the... Okay, so it's back to normal. Zarya is using the barrier on her allies more often to peel or initiate combination plays, which makes the ability more team-oriented and less self-serving. This change preserves that interesting choice by keeping the cooldown reduced. Okay, so that's something. When used on an ally while targeting her energy sustain instead, which is increased significantly with the bonuses to each barrier health and size. Yeah, I don't know about this. I mean, I guess, yeah, fucking cool. Keep it like slightly less, but this was one of the more pointless changes. I didn't understand why they were doing this. Like, they were very focused on, like, oh, you should be bubbling your teammates. Like, why? Why are we forcing that play style? I don't understand. This is interesting. I don't know why they keep giving Cass more power to his role. It's so fucking weird, but damage reduction increased from 50 to 75%. Dude, the numbers are getting kind of crazy. You know, like I remember when they first added the 50% damage reduction roll and everyone was like, what the hell? What is that? So I was actually testing this with Karki last night. You can survive a junk tire now. So obviously you could survive pulse bomb before, but now you can survive a junk tire. Yeah, let me see. He's got a vid for it. Let me see. He said I can react to it.
Damage reduction is being increased from 50% to 75%.
I only took 30 damage from a rocket.
Animation with that damage reduction, but it has some major implications for what he can tank. For example, Junkrat's Riptire. Dev's comment.
Yeah, did you see that? I hard tanked it. I only took 150 HP.
For example, Junkrat's Riptire.
Hard tanked it.
Most damage mitigation from combat roll feels incidental, as the ability is used more for mobility or reloading.
Oh, he's just reading off the thing. Okay. I understand that people react more positively to buffs than they do to nerfs. But, like, we're like a runaway train at this point with, like, small, like, micro nerfs to everybody constantly, you know? This isn't even a buff. Like, but the thing is, though, is the dev comment's right. Most people use roll as a movement ability or for reload. People don't use it for damage mitigation. And it was, like, something that was kind of added on. No one uses roll to mitigate damage. Most people don't use it that way because it's stupid to use it that way. But as you get higher and higher rank, people know. And for certain things like Tracer, oh, Tracer has pulse bomb this fight? I'm going to be a little bit more careful with my roll. You know why? Because you get stuck by the Tracer, you roll and you survive. You straight up don't die. Now, they have a Junkrat. You're like, oh, they have Tire. Guess what? You don't use your roll because it's only like a 6-second cooldown. And they pop Tire, you're looking up at the sky, looking for the Tire, you're looking to shoot it, but as it gets closer to you, you might just roll at it, right? Or roll away from it. Because there's also fall off range. There's also like, the further away you are from Junk Tire, the less damage it does. That could even apply to something like Diva Bomb, unless you're standing on top of the Diva Bomb. If you're, like, not next to it, but in range to die, and you roll next to the Diva Bomb, or somewhere close to it, you might survive. Because there's incremental fall off. So the point is, though, you make a good point. Most people don't use it for damage reduction. But this was like a silly little gimmick that got added back during the Overwatch betas and in Overwatch 1. And now it's like kind of being added onto. But like, why? Why are we putting power in this weird combat roll damage reduction thing? Why are we so focused on damage reductions and damage amps and all this stuff? Let's just bring the damage all the way down from tanks, DPS, and support. Bring them all down, you know? That's my take, at least. Anyways. Oh, did I fucking call this, or did I fucking call this? May Deep Chill removed. Endothermic Blaster. Damage per second increased from 70 to 100. Now immediately slows enemies by 40% instead of building up over time. You know, everyone gets fucking mad at me all the time, but I end up being goddamn right. Literally not every time, but like 90 goddamn % of the time. Like, don't get me wrong. Everyone gets stuff wrong sometimes. I get stuff wrong sometimes. But I literally called this back when they first made the change. And I said, there's no way that change is going to be good. Sorry, the original buff. After the original buff to the CC, I said that was going to be broken, the slow. Which the slow was sucked to play against, right? It wasn't... It actually was a nerf. But it sucked to play against. And I was like, this is ass. And then I said when they buffed her damage originally from like 50 damage to like 75 or like 65 or something like that, I was like, we're going to go back to the original. We're going to go back to 100 at some point, and it's going to keep the slow. And then it literally exactly that. Flat stop buffing Mei is all I remember. Yeah, I know. Anyways, let's read the developer comment. We like the 1-2 combo that Deep Chill provided. No one did. As it provided an interesting layer for hero mastery. However, in practice, it increased the amount of crowd control suffered by enemy players, while also reducing Mei's effectiveness. Rather than further increasing the slow or increasing cumulative combo damage, both of which would lead to more frustrating experience for the opposing player, we are reverting Mei back to her balance prior to adding the Deep Chill passive. But she didn't have the slow before. It was 30 or 40. Did it ramp up to 40, or was it just straight up 40 out of the jump? No ramp, it was just 40 out of the gate. We're being gaslit. I'm pretty sure it didn't. Yeah, I'm with you on that one, actually. I kind of don't think that that's totally true either. I feel like I'm being gaslit a little bit, but I'll take chat's word for it. Restun slows target by a consistent 50% instead of building up over time. Slow duration reduced from 1 to 0.5 seconds. Damage, wait, what? Increase from 55 to 100. What is this slow duration? Was it, did they change it after that? Primary fire slow is no longer always 40%, now scales from 30 to 50. Ah, okay. That was interesting about the Mei stuff. I genuinely thought that there wasn't as much of a slow, or if any slow, but that is very interesting. We found that patch that said the ramp up, or the duration was only 1 second or 0.5 seconds now, which is weird. I wonder if it was just like a interaction with that felt different. We'll have to see how this feels. I don't know how this feels yet. But just basically old Mei again. We already went over the Torbjorn one. I don't know how I feel about this. I always felt like Overload was more of a defensive ability than an offensive ability, but it got like a bunch of buffs recently. Like you get the reload, you get faster fire rate, or even faster fire rate plus this one, which they did tone back, to be fair. So I don't know. Oh boy. Brig, whip shot, damage increase from 70 to 80. This change increases her proficiency at protecting her allies by rewarding accuracy with her most aim-focused ability. Why? I don't understand. Like, did we just throw something at the dartboard this month and we're like, okay, we gotta bust something? Yeah, I don't know. This one just feels weird to me. I'm not really sure about this one. I don't get it. I genuinely don't understand this one. I don't think she really needed it. And now, the big thing I think of immediately is the Shield Bash Whip Shot combo. Never mind if you have ult. If she has ult, you're fucking dead. Because obviously you get stunned. But even without ult, like, you get the 50 damage Shield Bash, plus the Whip Shot now, like, 130 damage. That's gonna fucking hurt. You know? That's a big difference in 120. Especially when you're talking, like, tracers or most squishies, like even like Genjis and stuff, you know, like things that are in your backline. So yeah, I don't know about this one. Genuinely extremely unnecessary. Illari, this is actually surprising. I'm actually very surprised that they're nerfing her. I didn't think she really needed it. Secondary fire healing per second decreased from 120 to 105. Developer comments, Illari's burst healing output is still a little too high, so we are lowering the effectiveness of the solar rifle's secondary fire to bring her more in line with other support heroes. I'm going to call it now that the next change is going to be a buff to her and give her more charge to her right click. Because the way I thought Illari was designed was so that her actual healing beam was supposed to be like extreme high burst, but not high sustain. And this kind of like loses a lot of that power that she had. Not saying we don't have a healing problem right now. Like there's way too much damage and way too much healing in the game, period. So I guess if we're starting to bring all the numbers down, sure, but this doesn't tell me that we're going to do that. But regardless, though, I don't know. I feel like she wasn't like the worst. In addition to hero balance adjustments in this update, we're implementing addition of quality of life settings and additional input options for several hero abilities and give you the ability to custom tailor your experience of playing your favorite heroes. Oh. Added the hero-specific options, light gun input. Primary fire by default. Relative light gun aim sensitivity. 100 by default. Relative light gun gyro aim. Okay, interesting. Swap meteor strike confirm and zoom out optics off by default. Okay. Hide commanding shout timer. Hold to use jagged blade. I don't know why you would use either of those. Okay. Hold to use terror surge off by default. Why would you use any of these? Void barrier confirmation input. What? Wow. Void barrier UI on by default. Why would you want to turn those off? Annihilation cancel input. Options change from ability 1, ability 3 to ability 1, ability 3 on off. Maybe good? I don't know if that makes it so that, like... Weird. I don't know if this is, like, to keep it from canceling Annihilation more. Because that definitely happens. That's like the Tim the Tatman moment. Charge cancel input, ability 1 by default, with primary fire, secondary fire, or all as additional options available. Oh, so you can put charge on mouse 1? Oh, okay. I thought you could do that already. Whole hog can now be fired with secondary fire. Interesting. Relative aim sensitivity during whole hog 100%. Relative gyro, okay. Primal rage melee attacks can now be fired with secondary fire and quick melee along with primary fire. Okay, I guess it just gives some options, I guess, but toggle glide off by default. Dragon Blade melee can now be fired with secondary. Okay, these are just some options. I don't think these are anything really crazy here. Any cool bug fixes? Nope. Oh, fix Symmetra's footsteps failing to play while crouched. I didn't know about that. Okay. Sneaky Symmetra apparently was a thing. Wait, we still technically have the patch now. I could try that. Wait, is Sneaky Symmetra like a thing right now? Where is she?
From imperfection, we build a new world.
Wait, Sneaky Symmetra. Huh. I didn't know that. I didn't know there was Sneaky Symmetra going on right now. I was hopeful a little bit more. I'm not gonna lie. The rest of the change is okay. The rest of the change is okay. The Ramacha change I kind of like. Wrecking Ball is okay. Zarya back to normal. That's good. I don't know about this one, Chief. Back to old May. Although I didn't think she used to have the slow, so I was wrong about that. Rivet Gun basically putting Torbjorn a little bit back to where he was. I don't know about this Overload. Why the Brig buff? And Alaria Max is surprised got nerfed. A little bit surprised at least, but there are now additional places for the attacking team to take cover around their initial spawn. The doors on the first checkpoint will now only close one of the two doors after the payload passes by giving attackers more options to work through their difficult choke points. There will be fewer places to take cover in the latter parts of the map. Oh, I knew about the doors one. We knew about that already, but no pictures though, unfortunately. Yeah, I was looking for pictures when I was scrolling through. My fault. But yeah, that's all your changes for season 7. Kind of had to pee during that, and also accidental ads. But yeah, that's the end. Cool.